So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes so that you get to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but you don't have to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, we will cover the entire day's current affairs within 30 minutes. Now, just watching this lecture in 30 minutes would be job half done because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section just below this video. Okay then, let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So in total, we'll be covering 3 topics. Okay. What are these 3 topics? Number 1 on this list is Future Women Army Chief. As you just noticed that recently, NDA batch, National Defense Academy batch contained women cadets also. And these women cadets would go to the Indian Army and would also be stationed at combat roles. Now, this means that at some time in future, there would be some eligible women officers who will become the Army Chief as well. So, this is a historic landmark event. So we'll talk about the history of women's role in army. Okay, the history, the entire history. Okay, when were they allowed to apply for combat roles? When were they allowed for other roles? Okay. Topic number 2 is draft rules for gold loans. Okay, by RBI. The thing is that gold loans are a form of loans basically that you get by putting gold as collateral. Now, RBI has released some draft guidelines with respect to that, which would make it difficult to get gold loans. So, we'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about Palamau Tiger Reserve in Jharkhand, because recently Jharkhand government has announced that it will organize a tiger safari to boost tourism in this area. Okay, so these are the 3 topics that we shall focus our attention on. Let's start discussing them one by one. Starting with topic number 1, that is Future Women Army Chief, Woman Army Chief. Okay, so there were 17 women cadets in the 148th batch of National Defense Academy, which graduated from prestigious Tri-Services Institute in Khadakwasla. Okay, Tri-Services Institute, I mean the cadets from this National Defense Academy can go into the Army, Air Force and Navy. Okay. Now, this is a historic thing because up till now, females in Indian Army, I'm not talking about Air Force or Navy, females in Indian Army were only allowed for non-combat roles. Doctors, lawyers, okay, doctors, lawyers, nursing staff, all this thing. But this would be the first time where women will serve in combat roles as well. So, this is a watershed moment for our armed forces. One which opens a realistic path for women to reach the highest echelons of Indian military. Okay. Now remember, in Indian Air Force, well, women are allowed. Navy also women are allowed. But in Army, up till now, women were allowed only in non-combat roles. Excuse me. So what is the history of women in Indian Army? Okay. So let's talk about history. So as far as females in the Indian Army is concerned, well, the very first time when women were allowed in the Indian Army was in 1888 during the British time. Military for women was opened up in 1888 when the British established military nursing service. So they were allowed only in the nursing role. Okay. In 1958, the Indian Army Medical Corps began granting regular commission to women doctors. Okay. So in 1958, the Medical Corps of Indian Army allowed women officers. Up till now, they were just nurses, okay, not officer level. So, female officers in the medical corps. So, doctors would be given the rank of officers, okay. Then, this was the case until 1992. Women were only allowed in medical corps. Then, in 1992, Women's Special Entry Scheme was launched, which allowed women to enter in non-combat streams other than medical roles, like Army Education Corps, Corps of Signals, okay, Intelligence Corps, Corps of Engineers. So all these roles were also opened up. But remember again, combat roles, commanding of troops, those roles were not opened up. Plus, the thing is, that in the Indian Armed Forces and in the Indian Army especially, well, you are commissioned as an officer through two ways. One is known as Short Service Commission. Okay, in Short Service Commission, you are there as an officer, you are posted as an officer for 14 years, 15 years. Okay, that is your service. And you are also enrolled as Permanent Commission. Okay, so a permanent commissioned officer, well, serves in the Indian Army till the end. Okay, till his retirement at the age of in 50s. Okay, Short Service Commission, well, the service is short, as the name suggests. Now, this women special entry scheme did allow women in other roles other than medical corps, but they were only allowed as Short Service Commission officers. Okay, so there was this fight for getting permanent commission for women in the Indian Armed Forces, plus allowing them to serve as commanding officers, commanding the troops for combat roles. Okay, so the fight for permanent commission. So permanent commission remained out of reach for women until 2008, when women Short Service Commission officer in Judge Advocate General. So they, females were also allowed to enter as lawyers. Okay, so even lawyers were Short Service Commission officers, but then eventually in lawyers and educationists, okay, Army Education Center, so Army Education Corps. So in 2008, you allowed these Short Service Commission officer to apply for permanent commission also in this area, but again, not combat roles. The government allowed women permanent commission officers into 8 other non-combat streams in 2019. Then a case was put in the Supreme Court, okay, and it said that this amounts to discrimination against women on the basis of their sex, gender, and this is prohibited under Article 14, okay, and Article 15 and Article 16 also in some sense. But it is basically violation of right to equality, that you are discriminating against women when it comes to permanent commission and combat roles. So Supreme Court delivered a landmark judgment in 2020 saying that females are allowed for permanent commission in command roles, combat roles as well. Okay, and it is because of this judgment that the first batch of women cadets was allowed in NDA. So in future, sometime in future, these female cadets would get promoted, and sometime they might even reach the rank of Lieutenant General, okay, and even become Army Chief. Clear? So this is the history of females in Indian Army. Clear? You should know this. Now let's quickly shift to draft rules for gold loans. So Reserve Bank of India released draft directions on loans against gold collateral with the objective to harmonize the regulatory framework across all regulated entities. Regulated entities are those which are regulated by RBI. Okay, so banks are regulated by RBI, NBFCs are regulated by RBI. Now RBI has released draft rules, draft guidelines. Okay, so remember, these are just at draft stage. They are not officially released. Okay, now RBI released these draft rules for public comments. But what do these draft rules say? Okay, what are the key features? First of all, gold loans are those loans in which you put gold as collateral. So loans only allowed against gold jewelry and bank issued gold coins, not against anything else like gold biscuits, gold bars. No, only your household gold jewelry and bank issued coins. Only these would be accepted as collateral. Plus, RBI has put a loan to value ratio cap. If you are putting 1 lakh worth of gold as collateral, okay, then you shall get the loan up to 75,000, 75% of the value of gold that you are putting collateral. Okay, it's a limit. Then this collateral will be evaluated by a qualified person. Then to get this loan, you would also have to produce ownership documents. Now this is problematic because there are many small middle class families in India who possess this gold jewelry since generations. Okay, it is in their family since generations. They won't be able to produce ownership documents. So this is a thing. Then maximum 1 kg of gold and minimum 50 gram coins per borrower is allowed as collateral. Fresh loans are only allowed once you have paid back the previous loan on this gold item. Clear? So these are the new guidelines. Now these guidelines were introduced by RBI to standardize the entire thing, okay, to give regulatory clarity and to make this process fair and transparent. But many people are criticizing RBI, saying that this would really prohibit small borrowers, small middle class families for small gold loans, right? This would really prohibit them, and this would push them away towards money lenders. If these small borrowers cannot get loans from banks and NBFCs, they would be forced to go to money lenders, and money lenders, well, basically they can be exploitative as well. Okay, so RBI's purpose was, RBI said that look, we had to regulate it because NPAs in this segment, NPAs in gold loans were rising, and we found out that it is because there are some issues and we have rectified these issues. Plus we have introduced standardization. Plus gold loans were rising. There was 100% growth in gold loans, and NPAs were also rising. So this would really jeopardize the entire banking sector if gold loans rise dramatically, and most of these gold loans are NPAs. So we had to standardize it. But again, the issue is that of small borrowers. So let's see what RBI does in the future. As of now, this is the current situation, but remember, these guidelines are only at draft stage. Okay? Alright. And now let's move on to the last news item of the day, which is Palamau Tiger Reserve. So Jharkhand government plans to establish the state's first tiger safari. Tiger safari is basically for tourists in the fringe area of Barwadhi Western Forest Range in Latehar district, which falls under Palamau Tiger Reserve. The purpose of Jharkhand government is boost tourism, serve as education center for conservation. You will educate people, tourists, for conservation, and offer experiential learning. So students would be invited for this tiger safari to learn about conservation efforts. Okay, so this is the entire purpose. Now, what is important for us to extract from this news item? First, we need to know what is Palamau Tiger Reserve. So first we'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about tiger safaris. What are tiger safaris? And under which law tiger safaris are allowed in India? Okay, and where can you establish tiger safaris in India? Clear? So these are the two things that we will focus on as far as this news is concerned. So first, let's talk about the reserve. So Palamau Tiger Reserve is one of the first original 9 project tiger reserves in India. So in 1972, we launched Project Tiger. For that, we established many tiger reserves. So there were 9 tiger reserves announced under Project Tiger in the beginning. Palamau Tiger Reserve is one of the original tiger reserves. Okay, it was notified in 1974 by then Bihar government, because Jharkhand was part of Bihar back then. It is located in Latehar district on the Chota Nagpur plateau region of Jharkhand. The forest area of this region is dry deciduous forest. Okay. Now this Palamau Tiger Reserve is actually famous. Famous for what? It is the site for world's first pug mark based tiger census. Okay. The footprint of tigers on the soil. Based on that, you conducted a census. So the first census conducted using this technique was in this area only by J.W. Nicholson during British times. So this Palamau Tiger Reserve is famous for that also. Here. Now this is all you need to know as far as Tiger Reserve is concerned, Palamau Tiger Reserve is concerned. Now let's talk about tiger safaris. So what are tiger safaris? So tiger safari is a tourism model involving naturalistic enclosures to house tigers. So you basically create a natural environment, okay, a big area, 5 acres, 10 acres, where tigers can roam around, okay. So these tigers are mainly rescue tigers, okay, injured tigers, orphan tigers, which are in this area, okay, in this tiger safari area. Rest of the tigers, the fit and fine tigers, are in the wild, in the tiger reserve. Now, different types of tiger safaris exist. One is captive safari. Houses rescued or zoo bred tigers in controlled naturalistic settings. So these zoo based tigers who are not wild tigers, well, they are allowed to roam free in this fixed area, natural area. Captive safari, wild safari. Traditional open reserve model like Ranthambore or Jim Corbett with no guaranteed sightings. So basically you lay open the forest area in secure environment. Okay. So in that secure environment, in that forest area basically, well, you go on jeeps, but wild safari has a problem. If tigers are moving around in that area, you will see them, but there is no guaranteed sighting. But in captive safari, well, the area is designed in such a way that you will definitely see tigers because these are zoo bred tigers. Nonetheless, this tiger safari in Palamau Tiger Reserve would be a wild safari. Now, tiger safaris in India are governed by Wildlife Protection Act, National Tiger Conservation Authority guidelines, and Central Zoo Authority guidelines. Now, as per the Supreme Court 2024 order, tiger safaris must be outside core and buffer zone of tiger reserves. Now, the question is, what is this core and buffer reserves of a buffer zone of tiger reserve? So, hear me out carefully. Okay. So, let's suppose there is a tiger reserve, Palamau Tiger Reserve. So, Palamau Tiger Reserve will have a core area. No human activity is allowed in this core area except forest officials going around. Then there would be a buffer area. In this buffer area, limited activities would be allowed. Okay, limited activities, tourism activities, but not too much human intervention is allowed in this buffer area. And outside this buffer area, well, natural human cities, villages can exist. So every tiger reserve will have a core area where no human activity is allowed, buffer area where some human activity is allowed, and the outside area. Now the Supreme Court said that tiger reserves shall only be, tiger safaris shall only be allowed outside core and buffer areas. Okay, that's what the Supreme Court said. That would be all. Clear? And with that, we conclude today's session. It was a short session today, because not many news items were there in today's newspaper. Nonetheless, please do not forget to revise this lecture because revision is extremely important. Okay then, on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you everyone.